Jim Jones Field plays setting to week 4 of the Arizona high school football season, and the matchup tonight, the Westwood Warriors come to visit the Red Mountain Mountain Lions. Greetings and welcome everybody. Alongside Chris Andriotis, I am Zach Warhack, and the team's set to take the field right now. And an interesting story coming into this game, Chris. It's kind of the tale of two sides. One team in Westwood trying to right the ship of wrongs of the season thus far, and Red Mountain looking to keep things going. Westwood with an 0-3 start, Red Mountain 2-1 coming into the matchup tonight.
And I would say a misleading 0-3 start for Westwood, because most of those games they were very competitive in. Take away some poorly timed turnovers, and they were very much in a position to win a couple of those games, particularly Skyline last week.
And on top of that, you have to look at the opponents they faced. You talk about Skyline, and then prior to that, to start the season, one team you may not want to see is Basha, and that's who they took on week 1. A really tough team, both offensive and defensively, but it's a place where you can learn a few things about your team going into that game.
Absolutely. You know, you schedule teams that just won the Open Championship the year before, and you're going to learn some things, and you're going to find out about what kind of team you have, and it's a great learning experience. You always want to play the best.
On the other side of things for Red Mountain, an exciting game last week that we had with them at Desert Ridge, 36-30 final, but that wasn't the complete story. Red Mountain had a 2-possession lead after they came back going down early, and things got really tight and kind of wild towards the end of it.
They did. Both teams battled, were scoring after turnovers. Red Mountain, like you said, jumped ahead. Could have gone either way down the stretch, but the Mountain Lions found a way to pull one out at the end.
I think a big thing for Red Mountain tonight is, 1, experience, and 2, the fact that health is wealth. They get guys like Hector Martinez back in the lineup tonight on the line, and he's someone who can move the pile, set things up, and a big asset to the Red Mountain offense, in my opinion.
Absolutely. A returning starter from last year, going to add a lot more experience to that offensive line. And like we talked about last week, slow building of getting pieces back each week so that they'll be humming at full strength in a few weeks.
It's something where you have to have a short mindset and take the season one game at a time. So let's turn focus to this matchup tonight between Westwood and Red Mountain. Starting with players of the game, you look to the side of Westwood, you have to highlight Jordan Hanks. He's their senior quarterback, and he is an athlete, to say the least.
Yeah, he's actually the 9th leading rusher in the state right now in 6A. Tremendous athlete, big, strong, has all the tools. So he's certainly dangerous with the ball in his hands.
Head coach Brandon Large told me that he would be heavily utilized in the game tonight, but also they want to change it up and work into passing, get a couple different looks, and get some experience before they head into conference play. So we'll keep an eye on that tonight as we head through the broadcast. On the flip side of things, offensively for Red Mountain, Simon Lopez, player of the game last week.
Yeah, he played great, found ways to make timely plays with both his feet and his arm. I think they're looking for more of that tonight as well.
A storyline that we also may be able to unfold a little bit as the evening goes on. Through practice this week, seeing a little bit of time, Kyle Heap, who is set to play quarterback and start at the beginning of the season, sidelined with injury. Word has it he may get a few series tonight.
I think they'll be conservative with him starting out. Probably not going to put him in situations where he could re-injure himself, but good to get him out there running around and facilitating the offense. I'm sure they're looking forward to seeing that.
So coin toss has been flipped, and Red Mountain looks set to receive as we get ready to get things underway here on RMTV. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Again, alongside Chris Andriotis, I'm Zach Warhack. And first possession at home, packed crowd. You have the youth night out here tonight. What kind of momentum can you build here?
Well, this is the beautiful thing about this is the community that Red Mountain is, and this is a great way to showcase it tonight. And I think coming out and playing strong early would be huge for the fans and for this team to get rolling. So momentum will be a part of it as well.
Jeremy Carrera, the lefty, gets the kick out, and it's handled by Bodie Wagner, setting up the return and has some blockers on the right side and room to work with. Good opening field position for Red Mountain as they get across the 40-yard line, and that eases things up for you as well.
Absolutely. You get the ball, past the 40, you should be able to score on that drive.
So we'll see what kind of a look Red Mountain's offense comes out with tonight. We talked about Simon Lopez. last game, he didn't have to throw the ball a whole lot. The legs had it working as well. He was 13 for 18 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, and then 2 more on the ground. So we'll see what the game plan looks to be. And we know we kind of saw a running back by committee last week, George Perkins, in to start the game.
He did a good job last week, had some nice runs, so we'll see what they open up with here.
I'm sure we'll see a lot of him, maybe a little more of Talon Lamb, but right now Perkins in motion. Lopez takes the snap and gives to Perkins. Perkins kind of swallowed up at the front of the line. They're only able to get a couple, brought down by Roper Reedhead, and he would be the one that I highlight defensively for Westwood. He doesn't need a lot of help. 16 solo tackles on the season up to this point.
And that's really impressive as a defensive lineman, so he's a playmaker over there on that side of the ball.
It'll be interesting to see how Westwood is able to handle the versatility of this Red Mountain offense through the air and on the ground. Wagner in motion. Lopez looks back across the field and takes a shot to Gunnar Moore, and he has it. Gunnar Moore inside the 10, brought down by Kyler Preston, but a chunk play to get into the red zone early for Red Mountain.
And it looks like they're going up tempo here. They're going to try to get right on the ball and run another play.
Good toss by Simon Lopez to get things downfield, and we talk about the momentum you can build early on a drive. 2 plays already inside the 10-yard line for Red Mountain. Lopez throws quick to the near side. Good tackle, back-to-back defensive stops made by Kyler Preston. So now Red Mountain slows things down a little bit. 2nd down and goal upcoming. Bryce Bigler in motion, and he settles down in the slot. Flag flies. Lopez gives to Perkins, who pushes the pile, but we'll have to see what the call is. Donnie Hostler, our lead official on the evening tonight, as we await the call. So Hostler issues a sideline violation to Red Mountain, and while that's all going on, Bryce Bigler checks out of the game, and Lopez heads back in and is set to take the snap. So no real penalty as far as yardage is concerned here. I wonder if it's just a warning issued, but regardless, ball on the 2 now for Red Mountain, 3rd and goal. Lopez gives it.
He looks short.
And Perkins ends up just short of the goal line. And this is something where we'll see what Red Mountain does. Do you keep your foot on the gas here early on this drive? The ball at the 1 at this point, and it looks like Lopez is getting ready to sneak it. Lopez does, and he has enough to get across. And an opening drive touchdown for Red Mountain to start things off.
It looked like the Westwood player came out with the football there. But once the ball breaks the plane.
Yeah, that's something that's tough. The signal on the near sideline from the official was a touchdown across the plane, and all it took was 2 minutes and 21 seconds for Red Mountain to get across and into the end zone. And then something to highlight here, Brandon Gallegos will be kicking tonight, so he'll be in for the PATs and the place kicker, according to head coach Kyle Enders, as an injury occurred to Kai Evans last week during a kick return.
So if we want to take a look at the replay of that the big chunk play for Gunnar Moore. This is called a money concept. The inside receiver is going to run a dig and occupy the safety, and the outside receiver runs a skinny post. And I think he's going to actually run off the screen here. But that's how he's able to get open. The safety bites on the dig, and he's wide open, gets behind the corner who's trailing him.
It's a great play and just burning speed by Gunnar Moore, and that's something that has stayed consistent throughout the early portion of this season, is just how much he can fly, and he's been pretty consistent with catches too. Contested, uncontested, sure-handed.
He plays way bigger than his stature, that is for sure. He does all the things you ask a receiver to do: blocks, like you said, catches in traffic, and has the speed to stretch the field as well.
It's one of those receivers and playmakers where you love the comp and everything that he can bring to your team as far as intangibles, but what you talk about is everything that you're asked to do on the field, you execute to a T, and that has gotten Red Mountain into scoring position, and they punch in a touchdown from the one. It was a sneak for Simon Lopez, and Red Mountain leads 7-0 here early in the first. So penalty pushes the kickoff forward, and this should be easy work for Brandon Gallegos, who's getting the work at the kicking position, as I mentioned tonight. Should be able to send this one through for a touchback, or, I mean, you're not giving up too much field position. You might try something crazy with a little onside kick with the advantage.
I was going to say either an onside or maybe a short pooch kick, get it over the front line, see if you can cause a little confusion there.
The kind of momentum that would set up if Red Mountain could get back-to-back possessions and score on those drives.
Nothing more frustrating than being the Westwood offense and not being able to get on the field.
And the boot comes through from Gallegos into the end zone. And the Westwood offense will get a chance to start on the field tonight. So we highlighted it in the open and talked about Jordan Hanks, an absolute stud running with the football. You brought up the number 9 rusher in 6A. If you want to look at the stat line when it comes to his carries, 44 of them on the season for 319 yards through 3 games and 4 touchdowns. So an absolute weapon in the running game.
It's impressive. You always get concerned, though, when your quarterback has that many carries through 3 games. Hard to sustain that over the course of a whole season.
It also comes down to the kind of hits that he takes. Mm-hmm. And he has a big frame, being 210 pounds and standing at 6'5". He has the confidence where he can lower the shoulder and take the contact.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you got only hope that he's able to do that and be smart with his finishes.
Empty set for Hanks, and he rolls out and tucks it immediately. And there's one of those big hits we're talking about. Who else but Champ Jennings, one of the leading tacklers on this Red Mountain team.
He has a great job closing on it, and they were just trying to isolate him. And they're not shy about using him as a runner for sure.
That's Jennings' 40th tackle of the season, and he's a guy that can do it all. We talk about Gunnar more on the offensive side of thing, but he's a run stopper. He can play in coverage, just a really talented athlete at the linebacking position.
That was a dangerous throw there because that was a backwards lateral, so that was actually a live football that went out of bounds there.
That one intended for Landon Webster and Anthony Gamba on the coverage that time around. And that's the thing with the Westwood offense. It's kind of deciding who you go to. Biggest pass catchers on the team, Jeremy Carrera and Savion McCrimmon, are 2 to look out for.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to put the ball in the air here. 3rd and 5.
McCrimmon is lined up on the very bottom of your screen, and he'll be tested up against Chris Castaneda. Target goes underneath, and it'll be short of the line to gain and bring up 4th down. So the connection was there between Hanks and Webster, but not enough to pick up the first.
Yeah, that was a nice ball. He put a lot of heat on that one, and unfortunately the route was a yard or 2 short.
It looks like Westwood keeps the offense on the field here at 4th and just a yard. Hanks makes some adjustments, takes the sneak, and a flag flies. He definitely picks up enough as he breaks free and cuts it to the outside, and Hanks still working on the outside and finally brought down by James Krieger, but we have to wait to see what the flag is.
Yeah, Well, it's good to see what it was because there may have been some movement on the Westwood side, but it doesn't look like they're calling that.
It ensued almost simultaneously with the snap.
It's on Red Mountain.
So everything will stand, and that's what we talk about with Hanks being such a good runner. They ran a sneak, and he was able to bust it to the outside and have a big gain. Ball set up all the way at the 46 now.
Well, if you watched the Thursday night game last night, Jalen Hurts was killing the Vikings with that quarterback sneak. They couldn't stop it.
That's their play. 2 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts. They call it the tush push. So it's something that's effective if you have the right group of guys in front of you on the line and someone with a big enough frame and lower body strength to be able to churn through like Hanks was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a pickup of 17 on the sneak, And now 2nd down and 10 for Westwood. This time Hanks keeps it and is brought down over the middle of the field. Jamison Wade with the stop.
I was faking the fly sweep and just running the quarterback up inside there.
And the man he faked it to was Savion McCrimmon, and he's one to get carries from the wide receiver position too. He has 10 on the season, and he's converted those for 7 yards a carry. 7:43 left in the first. Hanks rolls to his right and has an easy check down to Webster, who's brought down as he gets past the 45 and now into Red Mountain territory. So that conversion there to Webster moves the chains. And now the drive continues for Westwood, and it's been impressive. They were bogged down to a 4th down, and then you rip off the big run from the sneak, and now you're threatening to answer and put points on the board yourself. Hanks this time gives it off to McCrimmon, and a nice cut back to the middle, but Carson Motter are there to meet him.
Well, like I said earlier, this does not look like the offense of an 0-3 football team. They're moving the football. They're efficient. They have some weapons. They have some athletes. So this is a good football team.
And 3 weeks is a lot of time to make adjustments and learn what your strengths and weaknesses are and what you need to improve upon. Westwood doing that on this opening drive. They try to set up a screen that time around, unsuccessful as Tanguay was the intended target.
Yeah, it looked like it was a sprint out, and then that's the new rage now is running the route right at the line of scrimmage, so your lineman can either go downfield and block or pass set, and you're not worried about getting somebody downfield illegally.
So that avoids penalties there, so it's kind of play design, and you got to keep up with the Joneses and implement it into your own playbook.
Absolutely. It's a copycat sport for sure.
3rd down and 6. Hanks looks to pass, far sideline. Castaneda up for a contested catch, but it's brought down by McCrimmon.
Yeah, he was waiting on that ball. I'm surprised he didn't come down with it. Look, he was waiting instead of going and attacking the football and high pointing it there.
Great catch by Savion McCrimmon through traffic. It's his 15th reception of the season. Has not gotten into the end zone yet. Whistle on the field, and our officials will converge and chat with one another. A good drive from Westwood, being able to manage a lot of the clock and kill it. We talked about Red Mountain, only 2 minutes and 21 seconds on their scoring drive, and Westwood has already brought the clock down to 6:24 in the first.
Yeah, they're moving the football. Another penalty here, and they move it up a little bit more.
That's kind of the opposite of what has been happening to Westwood. When I spoke with Coach Brandon Large prior to the game, he said, we've shot ourselves in the foot a lot. In that Skyline game particularly that you mentioned, penalties, turnovers when they get into the red zone, that's something that they'll look to avoid here as they're inside the 20.
Yeah, and this is the thing with Red Mountain. If you are the big dog in Mesa Public Schools, on most schedules, you're going to get the team's best shot. So Westwood's definitely seems to be doing that tonight thus far.
It's that feel, like you mentioned, when you're on top, everyone is gunning for you. You have a target on your back. You cannot take any opponent lightly.
Nope.
Hanks looks to keep it, and a good tackle made by Jamison Wade. He'll get credited with the sack, and this linebacking core is dynamic, and they showed it last game too. There was so much pressure brought on to Major Wooten of Desert Ridge last week, and the same thing is here, that time containing Hanks.
Yeah, that was a great job of wrapping up. He is a big quarterback, 6'5", like you said. So wrapping up and running your feet, they did that with the two of them, bringing them down there. It was a nice play.
That brings up 2nd down and 13, so a loss of 3 on first, and 10 left on the play clock. Hanks gets it off and gives to Tanguay, this time up the middle, and he gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so they are handing the ball off a little bit. I mean, is that the second carry that we've seen from a tailback on this drive?
Yep, and they've both been Tanguay, and he's a guy who's a bruiser but can also go for big games. Against Capistrano Valley, 16 carries, 124 yards, and a touchdown.
A little bunch formation here.
Hanks Throws it over the middle, and it's picked off. A drive killer that time around, and James Krieger is the man who picks it off over the middle in a late flag. I think it's going to be for a high hit.
Yeah, that was a great play. It looked like they were in zone, and he just sat in the window and was able to come down with the ball.
And a nightmare storyline for Brandon Large and Westwood as the struggles continue. They work so hard to push the ball down the field, and instead of coming away with points, you throw an interception right to James Krieger.
Yeah, and we talked about this last week. When you get inside the 20, the field gets a lot smaller, and the windows on receivers get a lot smaller as well.
That's something where it's a lot tougher to turn the ball over in that stage of the field as well, because if it's 3rd and 10 from the 50 or your own 40, you take a deep shot, throw an interception, you can treat it as a punt, but in that situation, you at least want to come away with 3.
Yeah. Yeah, you almost have to change your whole philosophy when you get inside the 20 and become a little bit different of an offense.
Lopez gives, and that's the first call of the night for Talon Lamb, who has a nice gain of 6.
Yeah, I continue to be impressed with his running between the tackles. He's a tough little runner.
Great in the passing game, too. A few receptions last week, and what he's able to do after the catch has been impressive as well. This time Lopez fakes it, and they set up a screen towards the near sideline, handled by Cannon Skidmore.
Oh, they're getting him involved. I don't think he had any targets last week, so he comes out and they get him a touch early. That's good.
We talked about the running back room being heavily involved with multiple names, but it's also been a revolving door in the receiving corps. We've seen Skidmore, Paxton Thorstad, and then your usual suspects with Gunnar Moore and Bodie Wagner.
Yep.
So a fresh set of downs now for Red Mountain, and Lopez out of the gun, gives it off to Lamb, and a flag goes on both sidelines.
False start, it looks like.
And it looks like, yeah, you're right, false start, that backs things up for Red Mountain. But despite that, you've seen the rushing attack. There have been good gaps and holes created and room to work with for Talon Lamb and Perkins on these opening drives. And the offensive line has been a big deal up to this point in the season. And we talked about Hector Martinez being back, and he's someone who can create a lot of room.
Absolutely. He's a big man and creates a lot of space when he gets the defender going backwards.
So 1st and 15. Lopez fakes the give and spits it out to Bryce Bigler, who gets out across the 20.
Yeah, it was a similar route they just ran to Skidmore, just a little quick, arrow route right out of the backfield. And with the play action, it's hard for those defenders to, a lot of it is just getting the linebackers' eyes to follow where you don't want them to go. So they follow the tailback, and then before they even can react, the ball's out of his hands going to the arrow route, going the other way.
Quite a few underneath routes and concepts on this drive so far, so you wonder if that opens things up and safeties and DBs start to cheat a little bit.
Yeah, watching the Westwood tape, they play a lot of cover 4, which is a softer coverage, really not wanting to get beaten deep. Although Red Mountain was able to do it on the first drive there. Oh, boy.
This time just a tap pass to Bodie Wagner and a big gain as he gets out across the 50. And that's the splash play that you love to see to continue the drive and create some momentum. And here comes the up-tempo look once again for Red Mountain as the ball gets spotted down at the 44.
I can see that seems to be when they get a chunk play, they want to get right back on the ball and run another one.
A big pickup of 33 for Bodie Wagner that time around. Lamb room to work with and a pickup of a couple. That time Josh Lee made a nice block to open things up in the middle. Two and a half to go in the first quarter on RMTV, and a 7-0 lead for Red Mountain as they're driving into Westwood territory. Two backs flank Lopez. He takes the snap and gives. This time it's Bigler with the carry, and Bigler using his force to get down across the 30, and the chains continue to move for Red Mountain.
Yeah, that's a similar play. If you want to look at the replay from Wagner's run here, it's a quick, it's just basically an end around. He's going to motion here and then come right back, and a quick, easy flip. Great blocks on the edge, and he's off and running. Actually, Lamb with the big block there on the corner, and he's able to pick up a big chunk of yardage right there. It's a great play.
If you're Simon Lopez, you love that one for the stat sheet, huh? Just a little tap pass. That doesn't go down as a handoff, does it?
I guess it's a forward pass. I guess you're right.
It's a nice little completion, the easiest one you'll get. And Red Mountain backed up. There was a hold called on the run from Bigler that time around. So it puts him towards midfield. And now Lopez, he wants to get it all. Gunnar Moore has it all the way to the Casa. A 51-yard touchdown reception for Gunnar Moore, and he continues to shine early in the season.
Great throw, great catch in stride. You can't do it much better than that on a fade ball.
What a way to get the crowd into it. A 13-0 lead, and we await the extra point with 2 minutes left in the first. And what I want to talk about from that play is the adjustment Simon Lopez made. On the first deep ball he hit on the first series to Moore, a little bit underthrown. He had to come back and get it and fight in coverage up against Kyler Preston. That time, like you mentioned, catches it fully in stride, and it allows him to get into the end zone for 6.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay here. Again, Red Mountain's able to use a little misdirection to get the safety's eyes inside. If you watch the short motion from the inside receiver right here, he motions in, and it's one-on-one. They're isolated Gunner on that whole side of the coverage there, and he's able to run by the corner for a great throw and catch.
We talk about how sneaky athletic, sneaky fast he is for his frame and physical. He just wins the route off the jump.
Yeah. It also helps too. When teams are playing soft, now he's that corner is in transition. He's got to open his hips up and run, whereas if they're pressed from the beginning, he can make it a little more physical and try to jam him off the ball. But Gunners can basically get a running start going at him.
This is possibly the best start you could imagine if you're Red Mountain. You score on the opening drive, and then your defense picks up a huge stop with the James Krieger interception while Westwood is threatening, and from that turnover, you create points. Yep,
and a nightmare scenario for Westwood, who does put a nice drive together, only to turn it over in the red zone again. So tough for them to see how they respond to that adversity right here.
This time the kickoff will be handled, and McCrimmon is swallowed up, and good work by the special teams unit as Andrew Schmier with the tackle this time around. And Schmier had a good game last week at the running back position against Desert Ridge.
Yeah, had a touchdown, I believe, didn't
he? He certainly did.
Well, while we're waiting, I want to give a little shout out to the Mesa Lions, the youth football feeder program for Red Mountain. They play games here tomorrow, 9 a.m. all the way to 3 p.m. So come on out if you want to watch some football.
So good to see the kids out here kind of looking forward at what they have to anticipate in the years coming, and they're so excited. Just in warm-ups, tossing passes with the guys on the team, they love it.
Yeah, it's a really cool experience to be able to get down there on the sideline and get the feel of the game.
5 seconds left on the play clock for Hanks. He beats it just in time, and the give to Tengi kind of swallowed up, and a group tackle. First one in on it is Dominic Nixon.
Yeah, I can see that they're trying to establish the running back, the handoff there. So if they can get that going, it's going to open up the quarterback runs even more.
Just a pickup of one that time around on first down. And now empty set for Hanks. Hanks rolls to his right and gets a full head of steam, a couple of cutbacks, and finally Jennings able to get him by the ankles to make the stop for his third tackle tonight.
Yeah, you can already tell that young man's going to be exhausted by the time this night's over.
It's hard to do everything.
Oh my gosh.
I think the only thing that's given him life is that he doesn't have to go two ways.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, they got the first down there, so we'll see.
Really creative runner with the ball. He's able to do a lot of different things, whether it be jukes, we see a cutback that time around, or run more physically. This time, absolutely nowhere to go as the whole gang comes in. Nixon was the first one in, and then Motter wanted in, and after that, Seth Barron said, hey, I want a part of this as well.
And again, can you go to the well too many times? And at what point are you not fooling anyone anymore? So we'll see. They're trying to set up the run, the tailback run. We'll see what they can do here.
Just 331 total yards of passing for this Westwood team on the season coming into this game. So certainly run heavy as a flag flies here, and into the backfield is that defensive line. Once again, Barron able to wrap up and complete the tackle.
Watching there, when they do throw the ball, it seems to be of the sprint out variety. I'm sure that protection is probably somewhat of an issue as well. So getting him on the move is ideal for them.
We saw that a lot last week as well with Major Wooten, and it was one of those things where he's a mobile guy, maybe more comfortable throwing on the run is what we kind of deduced by the end of the game, and it could be the same thing here for Westwood and Hanks.
It's just a way to negate blitzes and stunts. Just get outside of it, let the line kind of body everybody up, and get your playmaker on the edge with the ball.
So far, Red Mountain has responded well. 3rd down and 12. We'll see what kind of pressure look they can draw up here. Just 25 seconds to go in the first quarter. Hanks running away from Jennings and right into Carson Motter, who sticks him.
Yeah, there was some pressure right there, and they were able to flush him out of the pocket. Motter was waiting for him. It's good defense.
You talk about the technique as well. With a big body like that, you have to wrap him up, but Motter not shying away from the contact at 205 himself.
Yes.
So that play ends the first quarter. A 14-0 lead for Red Mountain. As we move on to the second here on RMTV, we'll step away. Before we get set to start the second quarter, we'd like to give a few shout-outs to our sponsors. Weathermasters, family-owned and operated since 1983. Plumbing, AC, and water treatment specialists. Proud sponsor of our boys at Red Mountain High School. Also, Chuck's Fine Meats, quality meats for all your grilling needs. Family-owned, located at McKellips and Power. Great people and great service, and a continued proud sponsor of Red Mountain football. So a shout out to all the sponsors. We'll get into more of those as the game continues, I'm sure. But a good look so far for all the sponsors, boys, as they call them at Red Mountain. A 14-0 lead and about to get the ball back with a punt upcoming from Westwood.
It's a short one.
Castaneda comes up to get it, doesn't wave for a fair catch, and he's popped immediately at the 42.
Yeah, that's one of the harder things to do as a football player is field a punt with a team bearing down on you. But that's one of the things you have to coach those guys up to do is you don't want the ball bouncing around. You want to go up and catch it at its quickest point before it rolls and takes a bounce against you.
That's something where it can influence field position so much. If you don't come up and get it, and like you mentioned, if it gets a good roll out of it, instead of starting at the 36-ish, 41 is where the ball's set, but the huddle back at the 36, you could be back into your own 20 if the punt gets a good roll.
Exactly. So it's tough. You got to be a little bit fearless, and Castaneda's baseball skills probably comes in playing the outfield there.
Just like catching a pop fly, huh?
Yeah.
Only thing is you don't have someone trying to come and kill you when you're catching a pop fly in the outfield.
Unless you're not communicating with the other outfielders.
Lopez fighting the play clock, gets it off with a second left, and another one of those little push passes to Brenner, who gains the sideline, and a huge pickup on first down already in Westwood territory.
That was crafty. They set up the same touch pass that Wagner had the big run on, and they had another guy going underneath, and he tossed it to the shorter one, and he was able to turn that into a first down.
A lot of different looks tonight offensively for Red Mountain from even what we've seen so far this season.
Yeah.
That's good to know you have all these different concepts in your back pocket and you're able to break them out at any given time and execute.
Different empty set here now, too. We didn't see that before.
And a good hard count that time from Lopez. He gets the defense to come across, and Gondo Sumaharo is the guilty party, and that'll move things forward for Red Mountain.
If you want to run the football with your quarterback, a great way to do that is this formation with a double stack and a slot receiver, because they have to walk all their second-level players out. So you have, if you look right now, there's a four-man, maybe five. Right now it's a four-man box. Ideal for running the football.
And down on the bottom of your screen, the most outside receiver is Preston Heap, the tight end. Lopez running for his life. Gets it across over the middle and turns nothing into something as he finds Wagner, and they move the chains with the first down.
Yeah, that was interesting. They got two guys came free. I wonder if there was a breakdown in protection, but Simon was able to use his feet to kind of make a play there. Nice job.
So good pressure forced that time by Westwood, but not able to find Lopez quick enough in the backfield to negate anything, and it's 1st and 10 from the 34 for Red Mountain. Lopez fakes to Lamb and rolls out to the near sideline. Contested catch that time, contact when everything was coming through, and Wagner unable to come up with it.
Yeah, that was a tough throw. He would have had to drag a foot, I think, even if he had come down with that one, but the defender was right there on him the whole time.
Good adjustment from the DBs for Westwood, able to go stride for stride that time around and break things up. It was Ferrero on the defense.
Looks like a blitz look here from Westwood.
They end up just bringing 4 and a handoff this time to Perkins, who has a lot of room. And he'll have a gain of 8.
Great job by the offensive line reestablishing the line of scrimmage there. It was like a tidal wave of maroon jerseys and able to get some great push up front.
So Perkins marked at the 27, so it's a pickup of 7 and brings up 3rd down and 3. Wagner motions into the backfield, and Perkins with a nice cutback to pick up the first down inside the 20. So just on the perimeter, they put him down at the 21-yard line, and Red Mountain threatening and looking to make it a 3-possession game early on their first 3 offensive drives.
Trade the tight end.
Lopez facing pressure off the edge and floats it into the end zone, and it's caught by Bodie Wagner. And the 3rd touchdown of the evening for Red Mountain, and these receivers have been red hot.
I want to go back to one of the earlier plays. If we can go to the replay, I want to look at Weston Hancock here. Getting off the football and really springing the big block here. Gets a punch there and is able to get great push on the second level for a big run from the quarterback there. Great job, great athleticism by Hancock.
Continues the drive and sets things up for them to get in scoring territory. And between those 2 passes from Lopez that went for touchdown, 72 air yards on those after everything is said and done.
Yeah, that was a great throw. Made me a little nervous because he was double covered, but he put it in a great spot where Moore could get under it, and he came down with the touchdown again.
A really good route by Wagner to be able to get a step on it, and also for Lopez to stay poised, show some moxie, stand in the pocket, facing pressure off the edge, and a time where you know you're going to get hit, but you still let it go.
And that's something that young quarterbacks really have to learn, and it's hard sometimes because you're used to being able to run around and make plays with your feet, but sometimes the play dictates you just standing in, maybe taking a shot, but delivering a catchable ball. So he did a good job on that.
So with 9:16 remaining in the first half, Red Mountain already up 21-0 at home, as Westwood looks to convert on an offensive possession for the first time this evening.
Yeah, if Westwood's going to make a run here, they're going to need to put together a scoring drive on this series here.
Someone we haven't seen involved so far tonight has been Jeremy Carrera, their tight end, who they love to use. Had some big yardage games. He went 2 for 85 against Basha, and that's kind of fun to see a tight end go for such high yardage on short receptions. So him and Savion McCrimmon are really the two in the passing game who they'll look to get involved, and this time McCrimmon with the kick return loses the football, and it looks like Red Mountain falls on top of it, so it goes from bad to worse for Westwood as the fumble is scooped up by Greg Goldsby.
Yeah, that's tough. And now your offense doesn't even get a chance to come out and answer. Again, I would expect a dagger here from the Red Mountain offense.
A lot of the times you hear the cliches and coach speak of, oh yeah, we got to dominate all three phases of the game, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Red Mountain's doing it right now. I mean, offense, defense, special teams, everyone has played their part and impacted this football game.
Absolutely, and that's what good football teams do, and that's what's necessary to win as they progress through this season, is win all three phases.
Red Mountain looking sharp so far, and new quarterback steps in. Kyle Heap gets his first touch of the season, and he gives up the middle to Perkins. So a fun story with Heap. I mean, we all know set up to be the starter as Perkins continues to churn. Then he has the injury in the offseason. Lopez gets the job to start the season, but now Heap, we talked to head coach Kyle Enders prior to the game. He said he'll get worked in for a few series at least.
Like I said last week, it's a good problem to have because it's a long season and you never know what can happen from game to game. So having two quarterbacks that can play only makes you better.
Heap gives back up the middle again. This time it's Bigler with the carry. That time no second effort on the run. The first time around Perkins, I mean, he just kept the legs moving and the pile pushed forward.
Yeah, he did a great job. I thought he was down and he was able to squeak through and pick up 5 more yards.
Second down and goal upcoming from the 7-yard line for Kyle Heap as he checks back in over with the sideline to confirm the call. And still plenty of time on the play clock with 15 seconds to go to get this one off. Heap fakes the pitch, rolls back out, sets it up over the middle, and it's back-to-back touchdowns for Bodie Wagner.
B-Dub's having himself a night. Great catch. I love the placement of the ball, not throwing it up high where he's going to get a rib shot, throwing it down low where he could be protected and go to the ground with the football.
That has to feel good for Kyle Heap to get his first action of the season and convert for a touchdown on the first drive that he's working. And a lot of it comes to the help of the short field off of the fumble recovery on the kickoff by Greg Goldsby.
Yeah, did a great job handing off the ball and then a little play action, great throw, great catch.
Gallegos sets up the extra point, puts it up and through, and Gallegos, the fun story about him, he's one of those soccer players recruited to come kick for the football team. Yeah. So it's always something where it can translate over, and he's been perfect on extra points tonight.
And that's probably a tough thing for him too, because I'm sure club soccer season is in full swing right now.
Good work from the coaching staff to encourage him enough to get out here and come over with the injury to Kai Evans. Just under 8 minutes now in the first half, and Westwood still looking for their third possession of the game. As so far, they've turned it over in the red zone, punted it away, and then a chance to get one lose it on the kickoff. That time it's too short for McCrimmon, so he'll set up as a blocker, and a big hit on the near sideline. Tackle made by Cole Edmonds. And now Westwood has an opportunity to respond, and this is something where you want to see something like the opening drive that you had, right? Give your team a little sign of life, move the ball down the field, a couple of first downs to gain some confidence.
And you go back to what works, and I think, if you're talking to your offense in the huddle right now, you're saying, we're not going to get 28 points on this drive, but let's get 7. Let's come out and put a drive together, and let's get some points on the board.
And this is a place here where Westwood, in years past, last year specifically, felt a little bit more comfortable. They were 3-2 on the road, and at home, unfortunately 0-5 on the season last year. So something comfortable coming into enemy territory, and we'll see if they can get it going down by 28 here. So our officials hold things up for a second as Hanks runs back over to the sideline. I'm not sure if it's an equipment issue or something along those lines.
Maybe blood. It could be helmet off. Those are the two main reasons you see a player get sent out of the game.
So now it looks like Amon Wright checks in at the quarterback position. And pressure being shown by Red Mountain, and they back off the line now. Handoff up the middle. Tenge picks up a few as he's spotted down at the 29. And it was just a one-play scenario as Hanks comes off of the sideline and back in to continue to run the offense.
Yeah, that was a good start. 2nd and 4. A lot of things available to you on this down and distance.
Hanks motions McCrimmon, and he gives it off to him. Met immediately Jamison Wade in on the tackle.
Man, that linebacker core is active, isn't it?
Yeah.
They seem to be all over the place.
Every single one of them getting involved, and I believe in on the tackle as well was Red Wing. So, like you said, everyone's sticking their nose in to try and find that football, make some hits, create some turnovers, and just silence anything offensively. And now 3rd down and long. Upcoming for Westwood. Hanks goes to the far sideline and is able to connect with Webster, who's been the favorite target in the passing game tonight. And there's the confidence and a little bit of momentum for Westwood, where they're able to move the chains and continue to keep the drive alive.
That was actually an impressive throw. It was a deep out, and he was in the middle of the field, so that ball probably traveled 30 yards. That's an impressive throw there. He threw it on a rope.
It shows true arm strength, too, right? And, I mean, he just looks like what you would build if you could for a quarterback in Madden.
Absolutely.
Good size, arm strength, able to run the football. That's what Hanks is.
Yeah.
So Tenge in motion. McCrimmon with the carry, tripped up in the backfield and eventually brought down by Moderer with another stop.
I like that they're still trying to establish a run that's only going to help them going forward. And maybe not even in this game. But if you can have success running the football, that's something you can build on for the next week and go back to that.
Right. You can't just give up on it and lose it within the game plan, because it's still something you have to use to set things up. Hanks gives it off this time to Tenge again as he pushes the pile forward for a couple. Spotted down at the 39-yard line.
And maybe being a little more sparingly with your quarterback runs, probably not a terrible idea.
Keep everyone healthy, avoid contact. We've crossed now the halfway point in the 2nd quarter as Westwood are putting a drive together, approaching midfield, and 3rd down and long upcoming.
I would envision a similar route that we saw as the last 3rd down. Are they going to talk about it?
Yeah, timeout forced to be taken. The play clock was winding down. It was already at 5 seconds, and everyone was still staring at the sideline to get the play. So at that time, you want to make sure you have the right call on 3rd and long with a chance to keep everything going.
It's one of the more difficult things is calling plays if you're on the sideline, because it's nothing but distractions.
Right.
There's people talking to you, there's players in front of you, and you have to bury your face in your call sheet communicate the call that you want and get that in a timely manner. Very difficult to do from the sideline.
Well, and on top of it, from a coaching perspective and for the fans at home, what's the big difference between the two sidelines and their play calling? You see with Red Mountain, you'll have Lopez or Heap come over to hear something from the coaching staff, to whereas they use the play cards on the side of Westwood where they're holding up those big signs with key words and phrases on them.
There's no one way or one right way to do it. It's what works best for your team. But the idea is that it's something that the other team doesn't know what it is, and you're able to communicate everything you need to communicate in a simple manner, whether it's a wristband or hand signals or whatever it is, code words. Everybody does it differently.
We'll see how everything looks for Westwood out of the timeout as Hanks takes the snap quick, wastes no time. Faces pressure behind McCrimmon, and it's intercepted, and a lateral handoff while the tackle's ensuing, and Krieger just gets tripped up at the end of it.
Oh, the shoelace tackle.
And what a play by Jennings and Krieger.
I believe it was Moderer who put a hit on Hanks as he threw, and he wasn't able to put everything on it, and it was behind the receiver, right into the linebacker's hands, or the safety's hands.
A flag down around the 38-yard line. So we'll see and wait for that, but just again, a turnover being a drive killer on third down.
Yeah. It's hard. It's tough, you know. I mean, he had a lot of time. He wasn't really pressured till the very end. Was able to make the throw there. If you want to go back to the replay here real quick, you can see as he's throwing, Moderer puts a hit on him, goes behind him, right into the lap of the corner, right into the linebacker.
And we see the return from Krieger be negated. They said that Jennings handed the ball forward, so not considered a lateral to go backwards in something legal. A bright idea and one that was fun to watch in real time, but instead, Red Mountain will have to work from a little bit further back.
Kudos to the officials for catching that, because I don't think I would have noticed that.
Yeah, absolutely. Heap with a give and a big gain. This time a lot of room to work with and still going, but the ball's out. And we'll see if it's recovered inbounds or not. Bigler lost it, and our officials say that the recovery didn't happen until the defensive back was out of bounds. So a sigh of relief there for Bigler as he was picking up a lot of yardage and just got it punched out from behind.
They seem to have found something with that fly sweep, getting around the edge. They've had a couple big runs on it now and just got a whole lot of the football.
We will see if Heap can stay perfect at the helm. A gain of 31 that time around from Bigler. And the ball now just outside of the 10 at the 11. Heap fakes the give and rolls to his right. Heap keeps it, motions blockers, and he gets a big one on the edge, but a flag down right in the area where Bodie Wagner put a block down and Heap got around it. We will see if the touchdown does stand.
It's always a tough call. You know, did you get in front of the defender? Did you hit him in the back?
I think it was a hold on Wagner. He already had a defender locked up, and Braden Brenner was the one who was coming out to put a block on and who Heap was signaling to. So there could have been a couple of holds either on Brenner or Wagner.
I think what they see is the defender falls down, and it looks like Wagner has hands on his breastplate, so I think they called that. I don't know if it was a hold, but that's just the offensive lineman in me.
Nothing's ever a hold for
Never.
the offensive lineman. Heap tries to get everything back, faces pressure, gets it away to Wagner at the last second, and what a cut put on by Bodie Wagner. How does 3 touchdowns sound on the night?
Sounds like redemption. He got a penalty on the last one because I'll just do it myself. Just throw me the ball. And great catch, great juke there at the end of the run. Nice job.
Bodie Wagner taking care of absolute business. It doesn't matter who's throwing it. He'll catch it and get it into the end zone. He's received one from Simon Lopez, and then now he gets one from Heap.
Between him and Gunnar Moore, it's quite a tandem in the receiving end, and they're both juniors. Future looks bright.
Here to stay, and you look out at those two and you talk about the tandem that they have, but My thought process is just wait until Preston Heap starts to get more involved at the tight end position.
Absolutely.
If you start to unlock him, set up little tight end screens, plays out in the flat, what he can do after the catch. He hasn't scored a touchdown on the season, and he's only caught 8 passes.
Yeah, and I think he gets a lot of attention. He's probably the most highly touted out of all those guys, and I think he does get a lot of attention, which probably creates opportunities for the rest of them. But yeah, he's a solid football player. He's a great target. I guess defenses, when you're playing Red Mountain, you have to pick your poison.
The one thing that makes it tough, too, at the tight end position is when you're a good blocker. Then you get utilized in the run game a lot more. You're not running those routes or seeing targets because you're either A, protecting the quarterback and doing a good job at that, or setting up runs.
Yeah, but when you have someone that's a weapon at that position, it can really be a game changer for your offense. And I'm sure maybe they're being conservative with him, and they want to have him for the stretch run here as the season ramps up.
We see the crowd getting involved there, and as happy as you could be, up 35-0, getting the touchdown push-ups. So shout out to the student section for rocking and rolling, displaying the strength not only of the Red Mountain team on the field, but the fans got it too.
It's a great atmosphere here. You got to love the crowd, and the student section is fantastic. Just a great atmosphere for high school football.
It's a packed crowd here almost every single Friday, no matter who the opponent is. And then opening night, too. We saw on Thursday how crazy things were against Mesa just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, the fan base is very loyal, and they love the Mountain Lions for sure.
Plenty of reasons to love the Mountain Lions. Up 35-0 here in the first half, and everybody is clicking, and the offense, defense, special teams connecting all the way around. This time, Tengi has some room to work with and tripped up. There's been a couple of times tonight where it looks like Westwood has had opportunities to break these big runs, and whether it's someone in the linebacking core or on the defensive line, just get a hand in there to slow them down.
Yeah, it's they seem to be just a play away on a lot of these plays. So we'll see if they can get one before the half here. Get a little something positive to build on going into halftime.
Plenty of time to work with. 4 minutes and 15 seconds as McCrimmon goes in motion, and Hanks elects to keep it.
Yeah, and they're waiting on him there. I think the Red Mountain defense, it appears, on those read plays is determined to let the running backs beat them, and they're going to make sure that Hanks is gang tackled with every carry.
That time, Gloria and Barron in on the tackle. And talking about Alfonso Gloria, I mean, he was pressuring the quarterback time after time after time last week. Finally got a sack towards the end of the game, but someone who was just given effort throughout the entirety.
Yeah, and it's I'm sure it's tough when you get in there and you beat a block and you're able to, you think you're going to hit the quarterback and then he makes a move at the last second. It's very frustrating. But he stayed with it and was able to get a sack at the end there, a meaningful one as well.
It makes it so challenging, too, with how mobile almost every single quarterback is in high school football nowadays, too. You don't see a lot of pure pocket passers, so chasing down people who know how to make moves like that is quite the task.
Yeah, the game has definitely changed in the last 10 years. The mobile quarterback is now the norm.
3.5 to go. Hanks gets the offense set up and just gets the snap off with 1 second left on the play clock. And absolutely no room to work with. And Hanks, we've talked about him plenty of times, a senior, but his rushing prowess that has been so well known. I mean, he's only 900 yards off of his passing stats all time as a rusher. He's gone for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns with 4 games over 100 yards.
Wow. It's impressive. No doubt that he's an athlete. And I think he can throw the ball, too, from what I've seen. It's just, again, can you sit in the pocket? How long do you have to throw the football is the question.
Yeah, it all comes down to the protection and what you can set up on the front, because running for your life every time, you don't have the opportunity to set things up and get the play design fully executed.
Yeah, and I remember, in all of our coaches' meetings, ever since I was, a young coach, everybody could draw up the most beautiful pass play, and then the question would always be in the back, usually the line coach, how are you going to protect it?
Those guys up front, they don't get enough credit either. I
No.
mean, we talk about the quarterback, the most important position on a team and on the field and everything, but play doesn't get started without the center, and then from there, the offensive line.
And the center really is key because he's setting the protection, all the line calls. He really has to be mentally dialed in and physically as well because he's got to snap a football while someone's teeing off on him. And very difficult position.
A lot of responsibility to come with it in protecting your quarterback. This time, low snap, and Hanks tries to get rid of it, and that one sails out of bounds towards his sideline, and that time getting in on the blitz with a nice hit put on to the quarterback was Jacob Redwing, who's made a couple of big stops, and that's a turnover on downs.
And he's slow getting up. I'm sure that one didn't feel good getting hit in the back. And that was a 4th down, so it's Red Mountain football. Chance to punch another one in here at the end of the half.
A good territory to have it. 3:19 to go. And Red Mountain ready to take over. And it looks like Simon Lopez might be back in the game now. Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah. So Simon's back in the game at quarterback. And this is kind of what we saw, that Red Mountain, Kyle Enders, they wanted to ease Kyle Heap back into the offense and just see how he was feeling, make sure everything's good to go. I think a couple of touchdown passes, are good enough.
It looked pretty good to me.
Trick play, Gunnar Moore with the throw.
Oh, no.
And just not enough arm strength to get it out there, shaking his head as he comes back to the sideline as he wanted that one to work out.
So frustrating because you only get one of those. Like, you can't come back and run that again. Well, I guess you could, but the element of surprise won't be there. So you only get one shot at it. That's frustrating because Wagner was wide open.
That would have been number 4 for Wagner on the night.
Jeez.
Just an absolute evening for the young man. I mean, last season, when you look at it, he had 5 touchdowns total, 3 already tonight.
Yeah. He's definitely improved his game. I think they all have. Seeing these guys that played last year as sophomores, they've grown exponentially already. Little things like the nuances of route running and being able to catch, with your hands away from your body. Those things are hard to do for young football players, and you learn over time. And it seems like they've got that down at this point. I'm anxious to see where they go from here.
I think it's something that you don't only credit the hard work in the offseason to this wide receiving core, but the coaching staff is so important to improve these guys. Someone like wide receivers coach Diego Hernandez, who putting in work with these guys and what they can see in the offseason during practice week in and week out. It's all about the details when you come into season.
And that's a big part of all the rage now is the 7-on-7 football in the spring, and I know Coach Diego coaches that one of the teams with these guys on it, and I think you get to work on a lot of those things. You can spend time on, the nuances of route running that you normally can't do or don't have time to do in a regular football season. But that stuff definitely helps. You can see it paying off in these games.
Yeah, absolutely has proven to be a successful form for Red Mountain. As coming out of the timeout, Lopez back in, has Lamb to his right, and this time another one of those pitch passes up front. And the pile gets moved forward. That time, Paxton Thorstad gets the tap pass.
Yeah, they found something with that tap pass there. It's some dexterity to catch it and then just kind of drop it off for the runner.
It's so different, too, because it's not like those exchanges from quarterback to running back where you practice those time and time again with, putting the ball in the right spot and clamping down on it. So we talk about the details with the wide receivers and the route running. Same thing with that between Lopez and his receivers.
Yeah, the dead ball toss is what they call it. Oh, look at that.
Lamb gets to the edge, dives forward, and a touchdown, Talon Lamb. Everyone getting involved tonight, and what a burst of speed that time around.
Yeah, great job turning up and getting north-south, as they say. Heck of a run, and they've definitely got it going in all facets of the game right now.
First touchdown of the season for Talon Lamb, an impressive one to be able to gain the edge, put on the burners, and then you just know you have to dive for the pylon at the end and take the hit from the safety.
Yeah.
And it all works out, and I'm sure the hit feels good at the end of it, up 41-0.
And going back to we were talking about the receivers' development, what a great guy to learn from than Diego Hernandez, who was a heck of a player here that I actually got to coach him as a tight end. And made some phenomenal football plays as a player here, and who better to learn from than him?
It's funny how everything tends to come full circle, right?
Yeah.
Always good to have somebody familiar with the program being able to stay in and continue to build from generation to generation, next level up. And I think that's why it's so fun that we have, like you mentioned, these youth games going on this weekend here, and everyone here tonight watching the games as well, not only on the football side, but youth cheerleaders and everyone involved.
Yeah, it's such a great community thing, and Coach Enders is always preaching family, and he really lives it. You know, his kids are here. He grew up here. He went to high school here. A lot of the coaches played here. It's something important to them. It's important to their families, and it's just contagious throughout the community.
A good Friday night thus far for Red Mountain here at week 4 in the season, up 42-0 as we haven't even hit halftime. As Westwood set to return, and to the outside is Webster, who's been a favorite receiver targeted tonight, forced out of bounds by Edmonds.
Yeah, I noticed they've starting to get caught up on the inside there. You got to stay in your lane on those kickoffs. You get sucked in too far, you can create a running lane for the returner. We're sure they'll be working on that at halftime.
Opens up decent field position for Westwood as they get the ball at the 32, and I believe that they're out of timeouts for this drive. So
I think you're right.
Minute and 55 to go. They're huddled up in the sideline, and the play clock's counting and ticking down, so they got to get out of there quick. We're under 10 seconds on the play clock.
Ooh, this is going to be tight.
This might be a delayed game coming up here.
Yeah, there's no way.
So Hanks is going to call a timeout, so they may have still had one.
Maybe one left, I guess, yeah.
I thought they called one on the previous possession, but it must have been Red Mountain who called the timeout. So with that, play clock will now be reset and no delay of game, because that would certainly be a killer. Trying to put anything together at the end of the half, you get a good return out to the 32 and then take a delay of game. So good to have that timeout in the back pocket.
Always tough to have a delay coming out of a change of possession when you're coming off the sideline. The only thing I can think of is maybe somebody wasn't in the huddle.
Right.
And you had to wait up for them. You should be able to get the play call in, get out there, get lined up, and run the play.
Switch up personnel, something along those lines. And it's tougher when you look roster to roster. There's probably a good 20 more people on the Red Mountain sideline who are active and able to go rather than what they have on Westwood. So if you don't get the personnel right the first time and confusion on the sideline, there's not a lot to come out and help.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's easier when you have less guys, I think, but I think most coaches would definitely want more players, the better. Having too many people is a good problem to have.
Yeah, depth can help a lot as far as it goes, and when you talk about health as well, because in games like this, seeing more guys and giving opportunity to others, you keep your starters healthy, and that's something that you need for longevity throughout the season.
Oh, yeah.
Hanks back to pass, looks to go deep as he floats this one up, and Webster somewhat in the area, and that time intercepted. And here comes the return. Working all the way across midfield, back and forth, Logan Haney. And a flag comes in late. But an interception for Haney, and almost just a miscommunication on the route, or the pass just slipped out. It was floating and up in the air for a while.
Unfortunately, when you have that many cuts back and forth, and those defensive guys, they want to go throw the big block and get their guy in the end zone. And unfortunately, you keep doing that, somebody's going to get hit in a way that's illegal, and the refs are just looking for it. So those are tough when you're making multiple cuts back and forth across the field.
That now the third interception of the evening for the Red Mountain defense, and the 7th of the season thrown by Hanks. And it's been in all the areas. So we got Krieger and Haney with interceptions, and then the fun play that we saw with Champ Jennings being able to pick it off and try and lateral it, but being called for a forward lateral and brought back. But the defense has been great tonight for Red Mountain, creating pressure and turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heap now back into the game at quarterback, so just trading drives. And the give this time to Perkins, able to muscle his way forward.
And it looks like they're not in a hurry up, so I think they're just going to try to run some plays and get into halftime here as we get under a minute.
Yeah, clock continues to wind and shows no signs of stopping at this point. So run it, bring it into the half, and a comfortable lead at 42-0 here as we're approaching halftime for Red Mountain. Anthony Azul showing pressure on the edge, and he brings it. Good blitz pickup, and Heap takes a deep shot, tries to connect with Wagner, who's been the highlighted target of the evening, and that time just over the top. And him and the DB jousting for possession. There's been a lot of contact in that matchup tonight between Wagner and Kyler Preston.
Yeah, that looked like a miscommunication there, because it looked like Wagner pulled up and then was trying to find the ball late. If he had just run, he might have caught it in stride there. But again, things you get to work on in this kind of situation.
Clock continues to run, 5 seconds left. One more snap, and the give just goes to Lamb. And Lamb found the edge on the last drive for a touchdown, enough to pick up a first down, which doesn't quite matter as the horn sounds and we head to halftime. Red Mountain on top, 42-0, and a dominating first half.
Oh, yeah. Great job by the Mountain Lions thus far.
Everyone involved for Red Mountain up to that point. As we mentioned, 42-0. They take it into the half, and we'll step away and take a quick break on RMTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field for your halftime Tennessee Red Mountain Marching Pride. This year's show, entitled Fabric of Love, features recognizable melodies that weave a story about love.
Should beat Mountain View 28-0.
Okay.
Please welcome the Red Mountain Marching Pride and drum majors Riley Mulvihill and Anna Gray.
Chandler's up 28-0. Tight game. It's a good game.
Yeah, they had a really good running back. I forget that kid's name last year because I called the game when they played North. I think he was a senior. That's how he was going to run.
These are all smaller schools. Boulder Creek, Captain Shadows, Ski over Gilbert, Desert Edge, Hickory. Oh.
That's a good game. Those are the fun ones.
Desert Edge is supposed to be loaded.
Really?
Yeah, they're supposed to have 6 or 7 division skill guys.
Wow. They had a really good receiver that came out of there that played at NAU when I was up there. Elijah Marks. I think he went undrafted, then he got signed by the Chiefs and was on practice squad for like a year. And that was it.
Hamilton's beating Desert Vista 35-0.
Yeah, pretty standard.
Mr. Lyon.
The Red Mountain Marching Pride is under the direction of Jennifer Hamilton and Taryn Jones. Percussion instructors are Wardell King, Evan Dixon, Rob Davis, Matt Izquierdo, and Benjamin McKinley. The visual instructors are Taylor Dowdy, Raina Richardson, Zach Lesto, and Chandler Romney. And the guard instructors are Aubrey Oliver and Jamie Warhead. The Marching Pride would like to acknowledge their corporate sponsors. Title sponsors, Dixon Jewelers, your hometown jeweler since 1949. State Farm, Criminal Agency. Rights for non-speakers. Gratitude Tools. Pet Planet. Realty Executives. The First Team. Red Mountain Motors. Red, White, and Brew. Barrows Pizza. Red Mountain Tire and Auto. JC Printing. Chuck's Fine Meat. Just Because Gift Shop. Power Postal, Wood Partners, and The Run.
I don't mind managing. Would you like them to know over there that I'm managing this camera right now?
Well, over there, she's like, I'm gonna make sure you do any, I'm just a runner right now.
Welcome back to RMTV as we get set to start the second half. Red Mountain up 42-0 to begin, and Westwood will end up receiving the kickoff as they kicked it away to start things off tonight, and it's just been an all-out attack from Red Mountain in all phases of the game so far. Welcome back, everyone. Alongside Chris Andriotis, Zach Warhack, and the thing that's kind of impressed me the most, I would say, having a game for himself, Bodie Wagner. I mean, he's been all over the field.
Oh my gosh, yeah, 3 touchdowns. Big plays, seemingly every time he touches the ball. He's doing a heck of a job.
So many things to take away from the first half for the side of Red Mountain as we hit the running clock here for what will be a majority of the second half if things stay the same way it is. But I think a storyline for this team and something that gives confidence is the fact that you get 2 quarterbacks now. He looked good on the couple of series and drives he was in. Simon Lopez has been himself the entire season, and he continues to be great.
Yeah, and it's good. You'd like to see even maybe a little competition between the 2 of them and trying to one-up the other in every series that they get, and it only makes the team better. So
I think it's something, like you say, it builds team morale when you have guys wanting to compete, and if you're wanting to get better in practice and ensue a little bit of competition, that's something that'll translate to the field and be productive in matchups later on in the season.
Absolutely. And I think it helps from the coaching perspective and from the lineman perspective that they are similar playing styles. They both can make plays with their feet. They both can throw the ball well. So they're similar quarterbacks in that regard. So I think it's an easy adjustment to swap them in and out.
It allows you to open up the playbook and work on different things. Like you say, you can translate the deep shot, the running game, and almost start to get different looks offensively, swap both guys in if you want to get tricky in games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's tons of options as far as getting both of them on the field or doing different things with them. It's like I said, a great problem to have.
To shy away from that storyline offensively and move over to the defensive side of the ball, the linebacking core for Red Mountain has been dynamic tonight.
Oh my gosh, yeah. All over the place, making solids. I haven't seen one missed tackle from them yet in this first half. So they're doing a hell of a job.
It's led by guys like Jamison Wade, Champ Jennings, and then on the edge, and just the front 7 overall has been very effective, and that's allowed them to create turnovers. 3 interceptions in the first half for this team.
Yep, almost all those interceptions coming off of pressures on the quarterback that he was throwing, and yeah, they're doing a great job in the front 7, like you said, and on the back end, making big plays when they have the opportunity.
It's fun to see Champ Jennings get involved and create a turnover with an interception, and then you get Haney and James Krieger on one, and the return game has been good for them as well, creating it and providing good field position to the offense to allow this to get to a 42-0 lead.
It's a good thing that all the facets are humming because they're going to need them going forward with their schedule coming up. So I think this is a really good confidence builder for the Red Mountain team.
We can kind of segue into that and talk about the schedule as we get ready to kick things off here for the second half. But tough opponents upcoming. You see Williamsfield next week, then you're on the road at Highland, and then you circle that Thursday game against ALA.
Oh my gosh, yeah, those are 3 very tough football games. Pivotal games, really. I mean, teams that a good chance they either have seen or will see in the playoffs as we progress. So, yeah, want to come out and put your best foot forward for sure.
And it's the scenario where those games become crunch time of where you're going to be in the playoffs, where you're seated, whether you make the open bracket or not. And those matchups are the ones that kind of stay true. And your team, like we've talked about tonight, you got to stay healthy and produce to be able to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great way to measure where you're at as a team by playing against solid competition. So we'll have a good indicator of that in the next few weeks.
It's something that everyone's been looking forward to and preparing for, and right now the opening kickoff of the second half taken by Webster, and he gets out to the 35. And a good start in a spot here for Westwood, looking to pick things up. And at this point, you just look to respond and find things to improve upon and execute for the second half.
Absolutely. And it looks like they've made some changes in the lineup, got some of the younger guys in there, some of the backups. Not to be overlooked, this is a great opportunity for these guys to step up and make a play. They're getting great varsity experience in a game, and they want to show what they can do as well.
Already Chayton Jennings and then Nathan Smith at the safety position, a couple of guys you can spot for Red Mountain, as well as Grady English. So we'll highlight a few of these guys as they get a shot to go, and Hanks gets set to start the second half. A rollout for Hanks, and he cuts it upfield and breaks a couple of tackles through the defensive line and dives out to the 45, and enough for a gain of 10 and a first down.
I think I jinxed it when I said they hadn't seen any missed tackles in the first half. But yeah, if he gets a full head of steam going forward, he's hard to bring down for sure.
There's a couple of those where you just keep the legs churning, you're able to fight through things, and the softer arm tackles, those aren't going to bring somebody down who's 6'5", 210.
No.
This time the give to Tanguy, and he's swallowed up at the line of scrimmage, and pretty much the entire front four is there to make that stop.
Yeah, they did a great job swarming to the ball, closing off their gaps. Looks like number 79 in there, Benjamin Drake, and on the tackle there.
It's a good stop, and it's an entire overhaul defensively as we see him and Doko Balderas to get into the game. So a lot of personnel change, and it looks like Mater are still staying out there true. Him and then Gloria in the linebacking core. Another give. This time it's McCrimmon who has it and fights to get back to the line. And it brings up 3rd down and 10. And after the big pickup of 10 from Hanks for the first down, Westwood has been silenced the following 2.
I imagine we'll see Hanks out on the edge, or at the minimum dropping back here. I don't think they're going to run it on 3rd and 10. Getting the call in, communicating it.
Good job by Hanks to receive it from the sideline, and now steps back to pass over the middle, and his favorite target of the night picks up a first down, Landon Webster. He has been all over the field offensively for Westwood in their possessions.
Yeah, Hanks was a great ball. I mean, they had some zip on it, hit him right in the chest. It was a great throw.
It's a big game for Webster. He only had 6 catches on the season coming into this game, and I know we talked about how run-heavy this offense has been, but already 5 receptions on the night for Landon Webster.
He's having a great night as well.
So Westwood now back out across the 50 as the clock continues to tick, 8:35 left. Webster goes in motion, and Hanks rolls that way and decides to tuck it. Flag down on the far side of the field out towards the 36-yard line, and we'll see if this rush and pickup of 11 is negated.
It might have been a defensive hold, because he was looking to throw early.
Yeah, the flag thrown on that far sideline too, kind of where that battle would be between corner and receiver. Good eye to spot that one, so everything stays true on the run for Westwood. And now the chains move, and a couple of good first downs that they picked up. And we talked about execution coming out of the half. Well, it's something that they've done well here early on as they get down to the 30. Hanks keeps it, rolls to his left, throws back across his body. We'll see if they rule it a catch, but Hanks is down behind the play as Mater, shot out of a cannon, puts a hit on him before he releases it.
Yeah, that was a tough hit. I was surprised he was able to get that throw off, and the receiver almost came up with that ball.
That's a throw there, too, where there's no escape for Hanks when he's going across the grain and turns to set his feet back up, and that's where the hit comes from Mater. It's not like when you're throwing on the run with your body in that way, going from left to right for a right-handed passer. It's the opposite way, and that slows you down, and it opens you up for hunting season for Mater.
Very tough to throw across your body on the run.
Hanks takes a shot over the middle. McCrimmon had it, and he ends up losing it. That's a tough drop there for Savion McCrimmon.
It looked like there was a little bit of a collision on the top of that route.
That was an open look, and it would have been space where if he was able to bring it down, he had room to work with after the catch as well. 3rd down and 10 now with 6:55 to go in the third.
Yeah, the corner just fell down, lost his footing.
10 left on the play clock as Hanks has Tanguy to his right, who spits out of the backfield. Over the middle, Webster unable to come up with it in a dangerous spot to throw that ball over the middle. Waiting for Webster right over there was Colin McMullen.
Yeah, there were a lot of red jerseys in the area. Yeah, it takes a special kind of player to go up and get that ball in that situation, knowing you're going to get a shot or multiple shots.
Yeah, there has to be zero fear involved, and you just have to know what your fate is.
Mm-hmm. Fourth down here.
Yep, Westwood keeps the offense out on the field and elects to go for it. Nothing to lose at this point. Hanks scrambling away, tosses it down to Tangy, and the tackle looks to be made. He keeps the fight forward, but unable to pick up the first down, and it'll be a turnover on downs. And we'll see what look of the offense comes out for Red Mountain. It looks like Kyle Heap is heading back out onto the field.
Yep. It looks like some of the offensive pieces are still there. I think Preston Heap's still in the game. Josh Lee, the center, is still in. So they still have some of the starters in.
Yeah.
Trying to get some work done.
A little bit of change at the receiving position. We see Rigdon Mills and then Ryan Scoins get into the game as well. Heap with the give and a gain of a couple. Good stop made up front that time around by James Marshall.
And this is, like I said, a great opportunity to build depth, get these guys snaps and get them, some game experiences. Can't replicate it in practice.
Also gives you opportunities for coaches to be able to see what you have in other guys deeper down the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Heap looking to pass this time around, and it's a heap-to-heap connection and unable to connect as it's just dropped out at the midfield. Eventually broken up, and a good stop that time around by Kyler Preston. He's been all over the field tonight defensively.
Yeah, that was a wheel route from Preston Heap, basically an out and up, as some people might call it. And looked like he put the ball in a good spot. Looked like the defender just got a hand in there at the last minute. Really
catchable, just a nice breakup, and in the contact and congestion, it kind of stopped everything. Flag before the snap, and it looks like the signal is offside, and Red Mountain will move the ball forward a little bit.
Much better, much easier to call a 3rd and 1 than a 3rd and 6.
Yep, absolutely. It kind of narrows the playbook, and you know what you want to do to be able to pick it up and continue to work down the field. Heap gives to Lamb, and Lamb bursts up the field and across the 35 out to the 37 for the first down. So that continues to move the chains, and the clock working really fast at the running portion of it. Already down to 3:30 left here in the third quarter. And it's fun to just go through and look at the history between these teams. And Red Mountain has definitely been on the winning side of things. If I had to give you a pop quiz, can you tell me when the last time Westwood has won in this matchup?
I would say 1997.
A little bit sooner than that. We go back to the 05-06 season. It was actually a 40-0 win for Westwood in that matchup. But not only throughout the regular season have these teams seen each other, but you go back to the championship run for Red Mountain. Back in 2000, they beat Westwood to win the state championship, 20-10, the final in that one.
Oh, wow.
That was where they looked, and they went back-to-back. They took Westwood in 2000 and then beat the powerhouse of Hamilton in 2001, 13-10 final.
Wow. Quite a run they had there, back-to-back.
Definitely good teams put together and everything, working in all cylinders and looking to repeat, and in a good spot to do so this season with the roster and everything working the way it is so far early on. Heap escapes a couple of tackles of what would be a sack and has room to work with. Impressive run by Kyle Heap, and has enough to pick up the first down.
Some very nimble feet there, kind of dancing out of a couple, seemed like they were sure tackles to get a nice pickup there for a first down.
Able to keep the play alive is something that's super important, and Heap was able to do exactly that and get the ball out towards midfield. Minute and 55 to go in the third quarter. 5 seconds left on the play clock. And now this is Lopez back in at quarterback. Looks for Heap over the middle. Jump ball, unable to come up with it.
Just a little out of his reach there, yeah.
It's a hard ball to go up and get at that point.
It's tough when the safety is staying over the top because he has the angle to take the ball away on those corner routes.
Yeah,
really,
Dallin Hansen was up top there.
You really have to throw a great ball and have a great route and sell him on the inside portion to be able to get open on that.
It's a really small window that you have to end up hitting, and good defense also that time from Roper Reedhead at the linebacker position to keep up with Heap. Lopez over the middle, and just another drop that time around. Hunter Mortland, the intended target.
I like the concept with the deep over coming from the backside. That's the first time I think we've looked at that tonight. They've usually been hitting the initial arrow route or looking at the deep corner. So hitting that one is good to get on tape and for teams to see.
Skidmore and King Robinson both check into the game. It'll be Robinson's first snap that he's seen, and the give goes to Talon Lamb, swallowed up in the backfield. And good pressure forced and a nice stop made by Westwood, and that time Reedhead. We've been calling his name a few times defensively. Really strong player.
Yeah, nothing doing there. Wasn't sure if that was they're trying to set up that sprint draw that we've seen in the past, but Westwood was all over it.
That stop there ends the third quarter, 42-0, so no score so far in the second half, and the punt unit comes out for Red Mountain. We'll take a quick break and give a shout out to a few sponsors here real quick. We talk about ASP Pools, America's swimming pool company. They take the stress out of pool ownership. With ASP's help, you can focus on making memories while they take care of the rest. ASP wishes our 2023 teams a safe and successful season. Go Lions. As we check back in here and head into the fourth quarter, what are some certain things you look for a coaching perspective for the end of this game to be able to kind of just get out healthy, keep everyone safe while still trying to put things together on the field?
Yeah, you want to get you want to get starters probably out of the game at this point, I would imagine. You want everyone to be healthy. You want to get your young guys, your backups, some quality reps though. And there's always that saying, people get upset if you're throwing the football when you're up by 42 points. But I would argue, the quarterback, he's at practice all week too, working. He shouldn't have to just hand it off 3 times and punt. So you run your offense, you run your regular offense, and the situation is what it is.
I think that's a good point, that you want to continue to work and be able to try and execute things. And right now it comes back to special teams as Mater sends out a line drive punt that ends up landing at the 18, and it's fielded by McCrimmon. McCrimmon down his own sideline, toe tapping, trying to tightrope and stay in bounds. We'll see where he's eventually marked out. It looks like it's around the 38, but a decent return that time around from McCrimmon.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was a pretty good punt, too. I think he would have wanted a little more air on it. But he had certainly some leg on it for sure.
Yeah, I think it's that hang time where it comes into the factor where it gave McCrimmon a little bit more time to survey the field and see where the blocks were being set up in a route, able to find it to be able to make a way out towards the sideline.
That is a science that I do not understand. The science of spin on punts and where you drop from determines on all these different things. I had a guy try to explain it to him. I couldn't understand what he was talking about.
It's incredible. And we talked about returning them early, too. It's all the different variety that you can see as a return man, from end over end to the spiral ones that kind of fade back and forth. It's a challenge. And that time over the middle, Jeremy Carrera struggled to come up with it. And that was the first time he was targeted tonight, the tight end for Westwood.
Yeah, I like the concept. You roll out and have the, I guess he's a tight end, looks like a tight end, coming from the backside and trying to slip into that little window just behind the linebacker depth. So they had a nice play drawn up. Just couldn't come down with the ball.
Another one of those plays in the secondary where the contact ends up breaking things up. We've seen it a couple times tonight with Heap, and then now on the other side, Carrera. So Hanks fakes the give, keeps it himself, and a nice run out across the 50 and into Red Mountain territory.
And when he gets a full head of steam, he is difficult to bring down. He was moving right there.
He's fast, and his strides are just so long as well. He just covers so much ground in what looks like such little effort.
Yeah, he's doing everything he can in this football game. Just not enough to get some points on the board as of yet.
It's good to get work in for Hanks and company. They have Dobson coming up at home next week, so a tough matchup there. And McCrimmon can't handle that pass, but a heady play to go and jump back on it, because if it was close enough to be in a backwards pass, that'll result in a fumble. So heady play for him to keep it. I think they call it incomplete, though.
Yeah. Lucky for them, that would have been saved them about 5 yards by not catching it.
So Eric Alvarez checks out for Westwood. And bottom of your screen, Savion McCrimmon matched up one-on-one, but it looks like Hanks goes to the other side of the field with a designed run and has enough leg to pick up the first.
Yeah, that was what you would call student body left. It looked like they pulled some of the front side linemen, and it was just a massive humanity coming around the edge there.
Brings up another first down for Westwood, and this time McCrimmon in the backfield and flags fly. But some of those designed runs, how complex can the blocking schemes be? If we look up at the replay and what you talk about this time around for what they were just able to set up that time to pick up the first down, just walk us through what goes through it.
I think in some ways you don't want to overthink it, and I think they're just getting a lot of bodies at the point of attack. If you look at what we have here, you have linemen out in space, and just finding an opposite colored jersey and just get on them. I think sometimes you can overthink it because you can't possibly predict where every defender is going to line up in that scenario. So you just look for aim points, get on somebody, look inside out, and try to get a block.
Kind of a free-for-all, and make sure you just get your man, get somebody to be able to create as much space as you can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Second down and 8 upcoming with 7:50 remaining in the fourth quarter. And Red Mountain hanging on to a 42-0 lead as Westwood continue to work. Hanks back to pass, and he finds McCrimmon. Good move by McCrimmon to get to the outside, and a burst of speed inside the 20. Spotted out of bounds at the 16-17 yard line.
So we'll see. I think this is a crucial series here for Westwood, if for no other reason, to break the red zone jinx and to get some points on the board here.
Yep, just battle, protect the football, and what you can bring into next week, knowing you end on a high.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hanks directing traffic, and he sends Webster in motion. Hanks finds Webster with a little cutback, sets up a block, and a flag lands right near where the block does happen, and the stop made by Colin McMullen.
Unfortunately, you can't block downfield when the throw is downfield. So it was a great block, but it just happened a little too soon.
Pass interference is a penalty.
Timing
offensive
on that.
Pass interference.
Yeah, timing on that is a little bit challenging when you get out there that early.
And that's a challenge too. We were talking about those routes right at the line of scrimmage. You know, if it went a little longer than they had planned and he had to throw it a little bit downfield, that blocker downfield doesn't know that that's happening. He's just trying to get on his guy.
So the ball now brought all the way back to the 32, and they'll have to continue to work. Hanks runs to the short side of the field, and a good stop made that time around, a wrap-up tackle by Brandon Saddleoff.
It looks like they're trying to get their receiver up at the top of the formation isolated. A lot of space, a lot of room to get open there. See if they try to work them some way here.
Yeah, Savion McCrimmon, he's been in single coverage a couple different times on this drive where it's looked like there's no safety help, but then they just run the play the opposite direction with Hanks.
Yeah.
Hanks throws the out route that way. And a good breakup that time around to go stride for stride, Andrew Schmier.
Yeah, tough throw. The defender was right on him the whole way. It would have to be perfect in order to complete that.
That's another one of those throws that tests the arm strength where you're throwing it from the opposite hash out towards the far sideline. And like you said, timing has to be good. It has to get there in a good spot. And it's a dangerous pass to make if that corner and Schmier ends up breaking on it.
I would say that there's probably half of your high school quarterbacks can't make that throw.
Yeah. This time Hanks has plenty of time and running for his life now as he's being pursued and eventually just goes out of bounds. Doka Balderas was in pursuit from behind and able to track him down and get him out of bounds.
Yeah, that was a good job flushing him out. And, wasn't able to pick up anything on that. This is fourth down?
Yep, fourth down, a first down can still be picked up. They would have to get all the way down to the 8 to be able to achieve that. Hanks takes a deep drop and a shot at the end zone. McCrimmon is there, goes up, and it's broken up. McCrimmon had a step all the way through, and the ball just was a little bit late getting there.
It did. He had great protection that time. He was able to unmolested throw the ball and put some air on it and just couldn't come down with it.
So a good spot for the Red Mountain defense to be able to preserve the shutout when it almost looked like a touchdown was coming with the route that McCrimmon was able to run. Just 4:30 left on the clock, and it looks like we'll see our third quarterback now for Red Mountain as Haven Lion Jones checks into the game.
Yeah, I would say that they've probably accomplished everything they want to with those other two guys, and chance for Haven to get some reps now.
Wouldn't it be something if you can get 3 quarterbacks, 3 passing touchdowns in the game?
That would be a rarity for sure.
Low snap, able to be handled, and then kind of a fire drill right there.
Yeah, it's amazing how just a low snap or an off-target snap can sabotage the timing of the whole play. Again, just highlighting how important the center is.
That time around, the exchange between Josh Lee and Lion Jones, a little bit low, but a good time to be able to handle it and not give up a fumble where Westwood would have a chance to recover and be in good field position. False start or on the defense? There was something on both edges that came through.
It's interesting. I was watching that Jason Kelsey podcast that he does with his brother.
Yeah, the New Heights, Travis and Jason.
And he was talking about, they had Hurts on the show, and he said he doesn't really like the way he snaps because it comes out so fast. And if you look at Jalen Hurts, he's like down almost like a catcher.
Right.
To try to get the ball, make sure he gets his hands on it. And maybe that's something the quarterbacks need to look at because, if you're like a catcher and you're ready for it, you want to get that ball out of there so you can go block the guy as a center.
Yeah, I don't know how Jalen Hurts is able to achieve that position. It's like a full squat and you're taking however many snaps throughout the evening. That's something where I wouldn't be able to manage it. I'd have to do some more at-home workouts with my wife to be able to build the strength to get that going.
Oh, I mean, well, if you think about it, it's probably maybe that'll be a trendsetter because you want your quarterback in an athletic position. So he's catching the football, and he can run, he can set up the throw, he could do pretty much anything. Whereas, standing back there like a statue, you have to actually drop your hips down to go run. So maybe they're onto something there in Philly.
It's almost like in basketball where you get set up in the triple threat. You can pass, shoot, dribble, that type of thing.
Exactly.
So timeout taken here settles down the clock a little bit with 2:42 left in the game and a 42-point lead for Red Mountain. And you kind of look forward. I know we talked about the toughness of the schedule for them, but right back here at home next Friday against Williamsfield. And then that's where kind of the gauntlet ensues. From there, on the road twice at Highland and ALA, and then Queen Creek, Hamilton, Mountain View to close out the season.
No gimmies there.
No.
And yeah, the Williams Field game will be a good one. I remember the game over there last year, right down to the wire. That was a tough football game.
It's kind of like this is the final stretch, and being in a comfortable spot with a 42-point lead is like this is the last real opportunity you have of a get-right game to iron things out before you go in to that final stretch of the season.
Yep, and I think, maybe a little too soon to say, but I think that Red Mountain has accomplished everything they wanted to in this game. They executed in all three facets. They came out healthy. Showed some new wrinkles for teams to have to work on, future opponents, and they're going to, go home and watch tape tomorrow and get ready for Williamsfield.
Exactly. You focus on finishing up right here for the final 2 minutes, and then it's automatically on to the next.
Yep.
That's the grind, the season grind, and everything you work so hard for.
And it's amazing how fast it goes, especially if you're a senior on this football team. You turn around and you're up at camp and you're in training camp, and all of a sudden it's senior night and it's your last home game. And you're just like, where did it go?
The bittersweet feeling, and it's just the old adage where time does fly, and it's something where you want to milk in, enjoy every moment of the season, and I think this is certainly one tonight that Red Mountain will be enjoying.
Absolutely. And the guys that really flourish in these scenarios are the ones that appreciate the grind and focus and live play to play and rep to rep in practice. Those are the guys that can really savor every minute and really get better over the course of the football season.
And that's something that's not only appreciated by the coaches, but also other teammates to see that kind of effort put in, and everyone else can take on the same attitude of enjoying this while you're working so hard to put the product on the field.
Absolutely. And pushing each other in practice is something, and I've been to the Red Mountain practice. Those guys, they work hard every day, and it shows. And it shows on the field. So hopefully it'll pay dividends down the road as well.
Yeah, you can pick up those little in-season rivalries between teammates, and you know who's going to make you work harder, and it benefits everyone. That time around, a pass right off the face of Josh Lee, and Josh Lee, he's not a wide receiver.
He batted that down. I think he wanted no part of catching that football.
That's probably going to be a fun one to watch in the film room tomorrow.
He swatted at it like a bee.
So that brings up another timeout and a little stoppage here as the teams check into the sideline. And a turnover on down there. So 1st and 10 upcoming for Westwood, where they'll have the opportunity to get the ball in good territory with 1:48 left.
And I'm sure somebody on the sideline grabbed these younger players and said, hey, we want to preserve the shutout. Don't give up anything stupid here at the end.
And it looks like Westwood's working fast in miscommunication between Red Mountain. Over the middle, and that time McCrimmon comes up with it, breaks a couple tackles, and is brought down at the 21. So now it comes to the point where Westwood is battling the clock to get a touchdown on the board.
About 1:15 to go here.
Hanks takes a shot to the far sideline, and he's able to find Savion McCrimmon, who goes out of bounds, but that doesn't help the clock stopping at this point with the 42-point lead for Red Mountain. It's a good heads-up play if you're in a 2-minute drill of a close game, but it doesn't stop the clock here.
And it looked like number 80, Elijah Wilkins there, dropped to the flat, did his job, just didn't locate the ball.
Hanks takes a shot over the middle to the end zone, and Savion McCrimmon gets in. So the shutout no more, and a good pass over the middle to find Savion McCrimmon for his first touchdown of the season.
And that's something that Westwood can build off of going forward. A touchdown pass to end it, positive for them. They can build off that.
And I think it's something where their offense was executing and they had the defense kind of in limbo, miscommunicating and kind of jagged and shaking all over the field. There's that little 2-point conversion trick play that gets converted. So 42-8 will most likely be the final score line here with only 40 seconds left as we approach the kickoff. That was a fun design. I'd love to get another look at that 2-point conversion because it was just that kind of tight personnel, everyone bunched up on the left side, and then it just happened in the blink of an eye.
Of course, that's the one that's not downloading right away.
The replay doesn't want to come up for you.
It'll come up in a second. Stay tuned.
Those have to be some fun plays and concepts to design, though. Those little short yardage, two-point conversions are when you get into that area of the field, and it's something where you can get really, really creative. I mean, we keep going back and forth to the NFL, but we see the Chiefs with what they do in the zone between the goal line and the 5-yard line with how much creativity there is in the offense.
Well, and you know what it is, too, with those extra point plays, you're forcing the other team to have to spend time in practice to cover that.
Right.
You know, you only have to do it one time, and now everybody has to work it in their practice. So it's just, you know, something you could do that's simple, that if you're just counting numbers, if you have a numbers advantage, you throw the ball out there, and the other team's got to spend time working on it. So it's a win-win.
It looks like Westwood is bunched up here on the kickoff, and they might be going for an onside look here.
Why not?
Now they spread it out and look to back things up, but for a second, they tricked me into it. So Sumaharo gets ready to send this one deep, and he does. He boots it all the way down. And now the return, a lot of room to work with out across the 30. Another building block there for the special teams unit, and just about 30 seconds left in the game. It should be a knee to get us out of here as Robinson on the return.
And it looks like the starters are back in because they're going to do the victory formation, I would imagine, and take a knee and get out of here.
Yep, heap out to take the snap. And the rest of the crew kind of getting over there, just waiting on the officials to get the spot down so we can get the clock started and take care of getting everything into a final scoreline.
Every coach's favorite play.
Taking a minute to get everything set up here, but finally everyone into position, and the final snap as the clock runs, and the 42-8 finish will be the final scoreline here out at Jim Jones Field as Red Mountain take care of business and look pretty much perfect throughout the entirety of the night. They were able to get things going early, and they never took their foot off the gas, and none of it stopped from that point.
Yeah, it was an impressive first half for sure. Did what they wanted to do and get the victory. And now on to Williamsfield.
And that's the focus upcoming. So the handshake line ensues, and everyone congratulates one another on a good game and a hard-fought battle. And then what we have to do in our job now is to kind of conclude everything and wrap it up and get the recap and talk about the game. So the biggest things that we see and what we want to highlight are finding our player of the game. And I think that that one is pretty clear-cut from what we saw from Red Mountain. Offensively, one of the best games we've seen all season from a wide receiver, Bodie Wagner.
I would 100% agree. He was all over the place, big play after big play. Heck of a night for him.
And he was involved anywhere. A couple long touchdown receptions, short ones in the red zone, creating blocks and space to open things up. So that's your guy, B-Dubs. You love him. You've talked about him week after week, and he's able to get it done this week in the receiving room. But Gunnar Moore also involved. Everything was clicking from the start for Red Mountain.
Yeah, and now, like I said earlier, now opposing teams are going to have to pick their poison going forward.
I think defensively, when you flip things over to give ourselves a player of the game on that side of the ball for Red Mountain, if I had to select somebody, I think that Champ Jennings had a great game. We know he's one of the stars of that linebacking core, but all the tackles he made, the pressures he created, and the interception to put the cherry on top.
Absolutely. You called his name quite a bit tonight, and he had a heck of a game and a very impressive linebacking core. Be the tackle leader that says something for sure.
So 42-8, the final scoreline here. Red Mountain moved to 3-1 on the season. As we mentioned, they look to go to Williamsfield at home here actually next week for that next game. Anything to look forward to, highlight before we get here next Friday?
I'm just excited to see how they progress with their quarterbacks, and I'm sure there'll be some new wrinkles for the game, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do next week. It's a big one.
It'll be an interesting look for the remainder of the season, what they do at that quarterback position. But again, the final here, 42-8, Red Mountain on top. For Chris Andriatis, I'm Zach Warhack. We appreciate y'all for tuning in to RMTV, and have a great night.